A very good afternoon and thank you for joining us on Beetv News Updates at 3. I am Ruth Obodu and now the news in detail. There are indications that the Rivers State House of Assembly may be considering a lifeline for Governor Siminalayi Fubara and his deputy amid a looming impeachment threat. This follows appeals by some lawmakers urging their colleagues to reconsider the move in the interest of peace. According to sources, the shift in position was influenced by interventions from concerned political stakeholders. These lawmakers urge their colleagues to temper justice with mercy and explore other ways to resolve the crisis instead of pushing forward with removal. They emphasize the need for dialogue and restraint to preserve peace in Rivers State.
Again, calling our colleagues to reconsider our step and see how this matter can be resolved amicably, even though the governor and the deputy governor has infringed on the Constitution.
We, as people, as members of the 10th Assembly, we want to plead with our colleagues to please reconsider. This, we have received calls from leaders, from people in River State, outside River State, and we see that you don't raise the axe and swing it as you raise it. So we plead with our colleagues to reconsider, to please reconsider, provided the governor too has a role to play. He too must make sure he doesn't infringe furthermore on the Constitution.
In Kogi State, security operatives say they are not letting their guard down following an attack by suspected bandits on a police station near the Dangote cement factory in Obajana. Although the assailants were repelled, the attack claimed the life of a member of the Civilian Joint Task Force. The report.
The bullet-riddled walls bear silent witness to violent assault. On Sunday evening, armed attackers invaded the Obajana Divisional Police Headquarters in large numbers, triggering hours of heavy gunfire that plunged the city into fear. Although security operatives eventually pushed back in the assailant, a member of the Civil Joint Task Force was killed in the attack.
We need more security.
In response to the attack, the Assistant Inspector General of Police in charge of Special Operations led a high-level assessment visit to the area, accompanied by the Kogi State Commissioner of Police and other senior security officials. During the visit, he called for improved intelligence gathering and strong collaboration between security agencies and local communities.
Those people arrested are assets to us now. One of our very valuable volunteers paid the supreme price. I'm sad that Umar has to die that way.
Police say the attack was a retaliation against recent coordinated air and ground operations that dismantled bandit camps, disrupted criminal networks, and neutralized several suspects in the area. Favor Kolawole reporting for Beetv News.
Nigeria is stepping up efforts to cut off the financial lifelines that sustain terrorism across the region. In Abuja, senior military officers, security experts, and key government officials have gathered at the National Defense College for a strategic course aimed at countering the financing of terrorism and strengthening regional security. The report.
At a time when security threats are becoming increasingly complex, the National Defense College is convening top decision makers from the military, intelligence community, finance institution, and government agencies. The focus is on a less visible but critical front in the fight against terrorism. How extremist groups fund the operation. A strategic level course on countering the financing of terrorism and regional security is designed to deepen understanding to how terror networks raise, move, and use funds, and how those channels can be disrupted. The 5-day program aims to strengthen collaboration among institutions responsible for tracking and cutting off these financial flows.
Terrorist group embed both formal and informal communities and other criminal activities to sustain their operations. Thus, countering the financing of terrorism is not just a financial or legal obligation, but also a vital component of our broader national and regional security strategy. The Islamic State and Al-Qaeda affiliated group in the sub-region, including Boko Haram, ISWAP, and Jamaatul Nasrul al-Islam wal-Muslimin, have evolved into financially sophisticated cross-border networks.
Participants are expected to engage in high-level discussions on leadership, decision-making, and enforcement mechanisms while aligning Nigerians' efforts with international best practices in counter-terrorism financing. Beyond policy and strategy, organizers places strong emphasis on cooperation not only within Nigeria but across the wider region.
It's all about money. There's no way the terrorists, insurgents, even bandits can operate if he hasn't gotten the money. He needs money to buy a weapon. He needs money for logistics, petrol, water. He needs money to even spend. If it is kidnappers, they kidnap you, they need to feed you. Even if it is minimal, even if it is water they are going, it's logistics. Now, but when you come to Africa particularly, we know that terrorists, insurgents, they need a lot of logistics. And this logistics are not part, and the kernel point, the compact core of this logistics is finance.
As terrorist groups continue to adapt, authorities insist that responses must evolve as well, moving beyond the battlefield to target the financial networks that enable violence. Through this course, the National Defense College aims to strengthen both national and regional capacity to confront terrorism at its roots. Favor Kolawole reporting for Beetv News.
The federal government has inaugurated the third mainland bridge closed-circuit television (CCTV) monitoring center. The facility is equipped with high-definition CCTV cameras covering both the bridge deck and underwater sections, a dedicated surveillance boat, and two operational e-locks vehicles to support monitoring and rapid response. Minister of Works David Umahi explained that the system will allow real-time monitoring with designated laybys on the bridge, enabling enforcement without disrupting traffic flow. The people of Udugulu in the East Senatorial District have declared their support for the re-election of President Bola Tinubu and Benga Daniel as the senator representing the district. They made this known during the BAT-OGD Midterm Community Assessment Review tour for the local government area. The report.
Members of the All Progressive Congress and residents of Udugulu local government area have reaffirmed their support for President Bola Tinubu. They gathered for the BAT-OGD Midterm Community Assessment Review in the local government area. Traditional rulers, village heads, artisans, market women, community groups, and politicians attended the event, demonstrating solidarity and commitment to Senator Benga Daniel and President Bola Tinubu.
And the collective will of the constituents here represents His Excellency Senator Asiwaju Ahmed Bola Tinubu, TCFR, and His Excellency the Senator Justus Otumba Benga Daniel, NSC.
I hereby support the motion to adopt His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu for the second time in office as the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency, the Senator, Otuba Benga Daniel, for one second time as Senator, representing Ogun Senatorial District for the second time.
Features of the program includes empowerment support, distribution of items, and free medical checkups and medication for those in need. Speaking at the event, Senator Benga Daniel expressed appreciation for the people's support of President Bola Tinubu's renewed hope agenda and highlighted projects he has facilitated as the first-term senator. He noted that he has sponsored 17 bills and moved 3 motions.
Since we formally launched this movement in September 2025 at Igode in Shagamu, this Odogbolu talk marks number 7 in this series of engagement over the past few months. This movement supports Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Otuba Benga Daniel. It's about accountability, community engagement, people-driven representation, and unwavering commitment to the renewed hope agenda of our president while advising the government of Ogun East.
The senator said plan an advanced stage to reach consensus on the name and capital of the proposed Ijebu-Remo state, a new state being pursued by the old Ijebu province, currently under consideration by stakeholders and awaiting progress through the National Assembly. He urged the people of both Ijebu and Remo to remain united in order to ensure the success of the initiatives. Favor Kolawole, reporting for Beetv.
And the heat is firmly on insurgents in the northeast as Nigeria troops intensify battlefield pressure on Boko Haram and ISWAP stronghold. From forced surrenders to the destruction of notorious terror camps, the military says its sustained offensive are steadily shrinking the terrorist space and weakening their will to fight. The reports.
Troops of Operation Hatton has sustained aggressive offensive operation against Boko Haram and ISWAP terrorists across Borno State. Significant gains were recorded through clearance operations and fighting patrols under Operation Desert Sanity 5. Troops maintained sustained pressure along the Azewa Joko axis on 10 January 2026, forcing 10 terrorist fighters to surrender. The suspects laid down their arms, including AK-47 rifles and assorted ammunition, in what the military described as a direct outcome of relentless troop dominance in the area. A day earlier, troops called out extensive clearance operation within the Bula Alda cluster, where several active terrorist enclaves and camps were destroyed at Bajamba, Boni, Yaganari, Kusuri, and Umchili, including the infamous Abu Nazar and Abu Hamad camps. During the operation, troops dismantled key life support structures, disrupted terrorist logistics, and recovered items such as terrorist flags, weapons, and loaded magazines. Similar offenses in Yali and Bolaga area dislodged fleeing terrorists, leading to the destruction of additional logistic facility and the recovery of weapons, ammunition, and a general purpose machine gun. In a related intelligence-led operation, troops engaged Jas and ISWAP terrorists between Sijeri and Kamla villages, killing 8 terrorists and recovering AK-47 rifles. Elsewhere, 2 suspected terrorist logistic collaborators were arrested in Gubio local government area for allegedly supplying critical support to terrorist groups. The military say troops remain resolute and unwavering, sustaining offensive pressure, dismantling terror networks, and advancing efforts to restore lasting peace and security across the northeast. Favor Kolawole reporting for Beetv News.
The Supreme Court has ordered parties to return to the Court of Appeal to resolve the issue of legal representation and thereafter report back on 26th of January 2026. The Supreme Court also cautioned counsel that in matters of debt recovery, the debtor should be encouraged to pay the debts rather than filing frivolous appeals and applications. Also in court was the receiver manager Abubakar Sulu Gambari SAN, representing First Bank of Nigeria, Quest. Other parties included FBN Quest, Merchant Bank Limited, and First Trustees, represented by Babak Kusukan, Victor Ganosan, Papama Fagi Kiki, and Bushi B. Afula. And now to the business news. The 2026 appropriation bill has earmarked 1.38 trillion for pensions, gratuities, and retirees, benefits across federal government agencies, security services, parastatals, and universities. The reports.
Under the allocation, the Office of the Head of Civil Service will receive 94.54 billion naira for civilian pensions, including gratuity, pension running costs, and unfunded liabilities, while civil service pension alone accounts for 60.34 billion naira. Arrears from 2024 pension increments are set at 30.58 billion naira. Military pensions and gratuities have been allocated 486.04 billion naira, covering expected retirees 130.38 billion naira, pensions and gratuities 237.25 billion naira, death benefits 98.53 billion naira, and administrative costs. Additional provisions including medical retirees and arrears from January 2019 to December 2021. Security agencies are also covered, with the Department of State Security receiving 28.61 billion naira. The Nigeria Intelligence Agency allocated 23.54 billion naira, and police pensions set at 18.53 billion naira. The Customs, Immigration and Prison Pension Office will get 18.41 billion naira. Parastatals and universities will share 207.81 billion naira, while the National Pension Commission has been allocated 427.04 billion naira for gratuities, pension protection, and consequential adjustments. Other allocations include benefits for formal heads of service, retired professors, ESCC retirees, and group life assurance for all NDAs, totaling 2.19 trillion naira on the service-wide vote. 15 states will spend more than 10 trillion naira on infrastructure this year, an ambitious fiscal push to upgrade roads, schools, hospitals, and public utilities. Analysis of their budget by newsmen has shown. Together, the subnationals, which include Lagos, Akwa Ibom, Enugu, Anambra, Kano, Imo, Yobe, Ebonyi, Oyo, Kaduna, Ekiti, Osun, Ondo, Edo, and Plateau, earmarked a total of 10.7 trillion naira for capital expenditure in 2026. Between November 2025 and January 2026, governors presented budgets to their state legislatures and assented to approve proposals. The emphasis on capital expenditure is intended to boost human capital, enhance public services, and stimulate regional economies. The ultimate effects will hinge on how efficiently and promptly these allocations are executed. Agents operating in the nation's maritime sector, including members of the African Association of Professional Forwarders and Logistics of Nigeria and Association of Nigeria Licensed Customs Agents, Western Zone, among others, on Monday shut down business operations at the Apapa office of the Mediterranean Shipping Company over the recent hike in charges by shipping companies, lamenting that it would fuel inflation in an already fragile economy. These aggrieved agents came out in large numbers at the office of the shipping company, demanding that activities at the shipping company remain closed from 6 a.m. on Tuesday today until the shipping company reverts to its former charge. They maintain that the cumulative burden of port-related charges is steadily pushing up the cost of imports, with consequences that will ultimately be borne by consumers. Favor Kolawole reporting for Beetv News.
President Donald Trump has issued a statement that any country conducting business with Iran would face a 25% tariff on their exports to the United States. The announcement comes as Iran faces its largest anti-government protests in years, sparked by economic hardships, political grievances, and widespread frustration with the ruling regime. The reports.
Speaking from the White House, Trump said the United States is closely monitoring the situation in Iran and is prepared to take economic measures against nations that maintain trade ties with the Iranian government. Any country that does business with Iran will face consequences, including a 25% tariff on goods exports to the United States, he said. Without specifying which nation might be immediately affected, the protests in Iran, which have drawn global attention, are centered on rising inflation, unemployment, and restrictions on civil liberties. Demonstrators have taken to the streets in major cities calling for political reforms and greater freedoms. The unrest has posed a challenge for Tehran, which has responded with security crackdowns while attempting to control the narrative domestically. U.S. officials described Trump's tariff threat as a measure to pressure Iran and its international partners, signaling that countries maintaining commercial relations with Tehran would face economic isolation. Analysts say the move could further strain diplomatic ties between the United States and countries that have long-standing trade relations with Iran, including European and Asian nations. The Trump administration's stance reflects its broader strategy to measure pressure on Iran, combining economic sanctions, diplomatic isolation, and potential trade penalties to influence the Iranian government's behavior. How other nations respond to this latest warning could have significant implications for global trade and geopolitical dynamics in the Middle East. Favor Kolawole reporting for Beetv News.
And now to the entertainment news. The leading Nigeria Fuji musician Saheed Osupa has reacted publicly after a controversial Islamic cleric, Hawarakil Olopameta, sparked nationwide outrage by predicting his death. The issue began when a video circulated online showing Olopameta claiming that Osupa would die on January 10, 2026, which he described as a divine revelation. The report.
In the video, the cleric insisted that God revealed the singer's death to him. He swore by the Quran and his own life to support the claim. Olopameta further said he admired Saheed Osupa as a fan. He alleged that the singer could only avoid death by carrying out a ritual sacrifice. According to him, Osupa was instructed to kill a white ram, attach his name to it, and present it as a sacrifice to avert the predicted fate. The claim immediately triggered strong condemnation from Nigerians across social media. Many described the statement as dangerous and irresponsible. In another development, Nollywood actress and filmmaker Toyin Abraham has reached a new high point in her career as her movie Ovasabi Auntie records an impressive box office performance. The film, which marks Toyin Abraham's debut as a director, has generated over 850 million naira at the box office. This achievement makes it the highest grossing film ever produced under Toyin Abraham Productions. Film One, the distributor of the movie, announced the milestone while praising the actress for her commitment and consistency in delivering successful projects. The company also highlighted the film's strong reception nationwide. Reacting to the news, Toyin Abraham expressed gratitude to God and her fans, describing the moment as emotional and surreal. She credited her supporters for standing by her throughout the journey. Former Big B Niger star Angel Smith has sparked massive reactions online after a video emerged showing her and her girlfriend flaunting what appears to be a wedding ring and a marriage certificate. The reality TV star was seen with her alleged girlfriend in a clip that has since gone viral, fueling reports that the pair may have tied the knot in the United States. In the trending video, Angel and her partner appeared relaxed and happy as they admired the ring together. The moment quickly caught the attention of fans, with many concluding that the ring was a wedding ring. Reports claim that Angel married her lesbian partner, identified as Tumir, in the United States. And that's it on the entertainment news. Evelyn is Zibli reporting for Beetv News.
And now to sports. The Confederation of African Football will conduct the draw for the preliminary round of the 2027 African Cup of Nations qualifiers on Tuesday, officially beginning the road to the tournament. CAF on Monday released the official pots for the teams involved in the preliminary stage, setting the framework for the opening fixtures of the qualification campaign. The report.
Pot 1 includes Lesotho, Burundi, Ethiopia, Swatini, South Sudan, and Mauritius, while Pot 2 comprises Chad, Sao Tome and Principe, Djibouti, Somalia, Seychelles, and Eritrea. According to CAF, each team in Pot 1 will be paired against a team from Pot 2, with the first leg to be hosted by the lower-ranked nation. The ties will be decided over 2 legs, with the 6 winners from the preliminary round advancing to the group stage run draw of the AFCON 2027 qualifiers. The victorious team will join Africa's top 42 ranked nation in the race for a place at the continent's premier football tournament. The 2027 AFCON will be the 35th edition of the competition, with the host nation yet to be confirmed by CAF. Nigeria, as one of Africa's top-ranked nations, will not participate in the preliminary round and will be seeded directly into the group stage when that draw takes place. The Super Eagles are currently competing at the 2025 AFCON in Morocco, where they have won all 5 matches to reach the semi-finals against host Morocco on Wednesday. Tottenham Hotspur are closing in on the signing of Atletico Madrid midfielder Conor Gallagher after moving ahead of Aston Villa in the race for the England international. As reported by BBC News Sport on Tuesday, Spurs expect to complete a €35 million deal for the 25-year-old after indicating they are prepared to meet Atletico's valuation in full. Villa had been confident of landing Gallagher and were viewed front runners earlier in the window, but their preference for an initial loan deal with an option to buy failed to convince the Spanish club. Atletico have been open to selling Gallagher outright this summer. The Tottenham's willingness to proceed with a permanent transfer has put them firmly in pole position. While personnel terms have not yet been finalized, discussions are ongoing and are understood by a formality. Favor Kolawole reporting for Beetv News.
And that is all on our 3 p.m. news updates. Thank you for joining and stay tuned for our 6 p.m. major news. I am Ruth Ogbodu. Goodbye for now.